Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to Chelsea Fan TV and welcome to another episode of the Chelsea Fan TV podcast. First things first, guys, make sure you smash a like on the video, subscribe to Chelsea Fan TV if you haven't done so, and make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below. And Chelsea heads to the Emirates on Tuesday night, looking to get their first win under Frank Lampard. So far, it's been 5 games, 5 L's with 1 goal scored, which is a deflected effort from Conor Gallagher against Brighton. So safe to say it's not been the best. We go to Arsenal, who title challenge themselves, kind of fallen off the rails a little bit. They're still in it, despite what we like to say and what everyone else says. They're mathematically, they're still there, but no wins in their last 4 games either. So they couldn't really hope for a better team to play to get their winning habits back on track than us. We like to gift teams wins that have been going through a bit of a struggle recently. So yeah, it's going to be a tough one. Lewis, what are your thoughts heading into the game, mate? No, we've not played this weekend. We've dropped down to 12th on the table. I think Palace have leapfrogged us with that win over West Ham. Bournemouth are level on points with us as well after beating Leeds. It's a bit of a mad time.
3 weeks left, 4 weeks left, and we're done. Get the Arsenal game over and done with. Whatever happens, happens. We're 3 points from this point till the end of the season. It's hard to get up for these games anymore because it's just the same shit. You already know what's going to happen. We're going to go into the game, play like crap, or play well for 30 minutes. But regardless, we're going to lose to 1 fluke shot on target or whatever. And that's just the story of our season.
Mate, what's mad is like, surprised by. Mate, what's mad is like we're going to all these games and we already know we're going to lose and we still go. And then we still think that maybe there might be a chance that something different might happen, even though there's like no evidence at all to show that something might be different.
You know the 5 stages of grief. I feel like the 40 points was like my 4th stage where I was just bargaining. Now I'm at acceptance. Straight acceptance. We are shit.
Mate,
and that is it.
Mate, do you reckon we'll get a lineup with more than 1 attacker in it?
I don't even think that's possible. He'll play Ziyech and Gallagher up front, the criminal.
Mate, are you surprised? Like on Lampard, obviously, we said a lot of times, we know he's not a good manager, but are you surprised at how bad it's been under him? And to be honest, mate, I actually think it's been worse under him than it was under Potter. I know it was shit under Potter, but I actually think these 5 games, I think they've been worse than some of the stuff we were playing under Potter. Yeah, all right, Southampton at home, Villa at home, they were awful on that, but I think in these 5 games, it's been some of the worst football we've played all season, and that's saying something.
Yeah, Lampard's outdone himself. He's outdone Potter in record time. He's made even more questionable decisions. He sounds like an idiot in the press conference, like Potter. We just continue to downgrade. Should have just kept Bruno. Should have just offered him like some fat contract and said, yeah, I know like you feel snaky on Potter and everything, but take this job for the next 10 games. We need it. But he in 1 game made more sense than a pair of them.
Mate, that's what I was going to say. The mad thing is, Ryan, all the games we've had since Potter's been sacked, the 1 game where we actually looked the best and like the most kind of tactically sound and kind of structurally looking pretty good was the game that Bruno had against Liverpool. Since then, there's been no patterns of play, there's been no tactics, there's been nothing. Absolutely nothing. Like with me and Lampard, like, I don't even expect miracles. I don't expect you to come in and change loads of things and get results instantly. It's not going to happen. But like at least over sort of 5 games, you would expect to see like a basic pattern of emerging of kind of what you're trying to do. Mate, I've got no idea. I've got no idea what you're trying to do. There's no basics at all. And like that's the worrying thing is like we're looking worse and worse every week. There's no sign of things getting any better. We can't score any goals. We're actually creating a lot less chances than we did towards the end of Potter's reign. And like, yes, people criticize Potter for what he said in the press conferences and that. I did as well. And like, he didn't speak like a Chelsea manager. But I'm fed up of Lampard's chat now. Like, I get it. You know what to say. You know what it means to play for the club. Great. I don't want to hear that chat anymore. I want to see you actually put some tangible differences into effect on the pitch rather than this constant chat. And these comments after the Brentford game where he was like, oh, if we had 20% more confidence, we would have won. Oh, what the fuck? What does that mean? Like, imagine if Potter had said that. He'd have been battered for it.
Lampard's getting away with it on legend tax, but you've made so many mistakes, I can't even hear any of that. It's like, if I see some stupidness against Arsenal, fuck it, bring in another interim. get to manager number 5 for the season, because this is beyond embarrassing. We're going into games expecting to lose. We're losing. You look pathetic. Players are on the beach. Managers hopeless. Fans have given up. It's a toxic, depressing mess.
Mate, as I said, the worst thing is like, it don't look like it's getting any better. It's just like it's getting worse and worse. We just need to get to the end of the season. To be honest, but I just think that whatever Lampard's doing, none of it's working, and he hasn't actually got the capabilities to get anything to work. I think that's the reality of the situation. We know we've got a difficult group of players in terms of so many don't want to be here, so many just aren't up for it. Like, these guys haven't been up for it all season. Why do we think they're going to be up for it for a game against Arsenal at the Emirates? Like, these guys couldn't get up for Real Madrid. These guys can't get up for anything. And yet, you know, we think there should be an expectation that they get up for this. They're not up for it at all, mate. They've been on the beach all season, pretty much. They're definitely on the beach now. And like, it doesn't really matter who gets put out on the pitch. We're getting nothing from any of them. We know how the story goes. We might create 1 or 2 chances. We'll concede a goal. And then once the goal goes in for them, for the opposition, it's game over. It's done. As soon as we're a goal behind, we're finished. Simple as that. And we just see the same scripts over and over again. And like, it's
exactly that. It's because we don't finish. So like, whatever happens, all it takes is 1 free goal for us to lose. If we don't get battered, we somehow have the 3rd best defense in the Premier League.
I can't believe that.
Says more about where our problems are. And we have issues defensively. Like we've said, Cucurella hasn't been good enough. Koulibaly hasn't been good enough. Aspi hasn't been good enough. But in spite of that, we've got the 3rd best defense in the league. We lose because of freak goals, individual errors, and just an inability to finish shit.
But that's what makes it even more like, well, I can't get my head around it as to, like, we know that we can't score goals, right? So why does Lampard persist on playing a system that has 1 attacker on the pitch? Like, we want to try and maximize our capabilities to score goals. We don't want to try to reduce our chances of scoring goals. We score no goals, and yet we put 1 player on the pitch that has got the potential to score a goal. Like, the amount of times against Brentford, I've seen Kante playing right wing, putting crosses into the box for Sterling. Like, what is that? What's that about? Like, what are we possibly hoping to achieve by Kante crossing the ball into the box for Sterling? It just makes no sense. I just don't understand how someone like Lampard, who like has had a week to prepare for that game, thought that all he could come up with as the best plan was that. Like what are we doing on the training pitch? There is no plan.
We're playing to draw, but there's no outlet. If you're playing to draw, you still need an avenue to goal. But we don't create that avenue for ourselves, so we just turn over possession. And like we said, 1 chance, 1 goal, game is done.
Yeah, and even in that game, you know, when we made the 2 changes at halftime, Mudryk and Aubameyang coming on that, like, we looked better for sort of 10, 15 minutes in that second half, created a couple of chances here or there, nothing major. But then Brentford, who were they were barely in the game. They just went down the other end on a counter, scored 2-0. We're finished. Like, we're so easy to play against. Like, everyone loves playing against us because you know exactly what you're going to get. All you've got to do is score once, and the minimum you're going to do is get a draw. So it's too easy. It's too easy. We're a soft touch, and teams just love playing against us. But I just don't see where this changes or how this gets any different for the remaining games. Like, mate, this run-in, we've said it before. This is tough. Arsenal, Bournemouth, Forest, both United clubs, and Newcastle. Like, mate, like, I know we joke about it, and you've been banging on about 40 points for a long time now. How many points do you realistically see us getting from the last 6?
1.
Yeah.
If we're lucky. Bournemouth or Forest, make your pick.
Yeah.
If we don't get a point out of either of those 2 games, forfeit the other 3. Just forfeit the other 3 and save us all the fucking misery and the 2 trips to Manchester. Because what's the point?
I just don't understand. Like it's mad. We look at that and you're thinking, maybe like we're struggling to think if we can get a point against Bournemouth or Forest. Like, Forest, 1 game, 1 win on the road all season. No, they'll love coming to us. They'll love it.
Southampton had 1 clean sheet in 28 before they came to the Bridge.
Yeah,
then they got 2.
Yeah, it is kind of mad. But let's move away from the Arsenal game for a second. Manager situation. We still haven't got Pochettino in. There were reports that kind of Egbali and Bowley had been pictured at a Lakers game. They were in LA, kind of negotiating sort of the final details on that. Does it work, mate? Have you got any concern that there might be a small chance that Poch might reject us, or just not want to take charge?
The way everything is going, I wouldn't expect that. Like, I'd be very surprised if we don't get Poch in through the door, and there'd have to be questions as to why. But I don't think that's the case. I think we do get Pochettino in through the door. Maybe it'll be done before the Arsenal game, but like it would have to be done by the time this video is even out before we get to that point. So it's a bit unlikely. Maybe you'll see him for the Bournemouth game. But I do think it'll get done. Like, I think they've had detailed conversations. He's their number one pick. And I know it's a little bit long, but I still would be surprised if the deal doesn't go through.
Yeah, no, I would be a little bit shocked as well, considering we've spent so long now kind of chasing him, having these conversations, multiple meetings, 2-3 meetings or whatever. They're just kind of like, I think some of the stuff is to do with length of contract and those kind of finer details, how much control over signings, over the squad, and that sort of thing, which obviously are important details. I mean, for you, mate, I guess like contracts in football ultimately mean shit all. They're not even worth the paper they're written on. But mate, how shocked would you be if we saw another 5-year contract given the Potter debacle, mate? For me, just give him 2 years and start with that. And then if you do well, you can earn an extension.
See, we say that, but Potter didn't really have a big payout, did he?
No, it was 13 mil, I think. But I think, yeah.
There might be a good loophole in there. I don't know. Like, it depends. I would say go for a 3 to 4 year deal or something. But if they can do a 6-year deal with some of those loopholes in place, then go for it. Like, just protect yourself in case it doesn't work. But I'd be very surprised if it doesn't.
Mate, what do you think of the stuff recently that's come out in the last couple of days? It's bound to come because of Pochettino almost coming to Chelsea. But Poch and Kane saying in an interview that they've lost some of the values that are instilled under Poch, is widely regarded that he'd love the chance to work with him again. Kane and Chelsea, the links have been there they seem to constantly come up. I find it almost impossible because of how difficult Daniel Levy is to deal with, plus obviously Chelsea being a major London rival. But, mate, do you think Poch's imminent arrival could make any difference to our chances of signing Kane? And I guess also with Bowley in charge, I think we know that he'll definitely have the bollocks to at least try it.
I would hope so, but I don't know what to expect with this club anymore. Like, we've looked like a mess in nearly every area. So, like, just gauge it a step at a time. For me, get to the summer, clear out the squad, get the squad fit, the remaining players. We've got 1 game a week. We should be in a better position next season, and we move from there.
Yeah, I mean, would you? I mean, it might sound like a stupid question, but I mean, like, would you take Kane? Because there's I obviously know he's a phenomenal goal scorer, but do you think Kane would be the sort of guy that you put into Chelsea and he'd be an instant success?
Yes. I think you'd get us goals, you'd get us assists. You need players that will press around him, but if you have a player like Harry Kane in that squad and you're not scoring goals, just pack up the whole club at that point. Because he's been in the Premier League. He understands the intensity of the league. He's played against all these teams before. We have more creators in the team now. We just need the right system. He's played under Poch before. It has to succeed. But I don't think Kane joins us anyway.
No, I don't either. I mean, if Kane's going to leave Spurs and remain in the Premier League, unfortunately, there's only one place he can go. And that's United. Like, he can't go anywhere else.
It'll be more just anywhere except Chelsea or Arsenal.
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool, we can't go City because of Haaland, but we'll see. But mate, just on forwards whilst we're there, I don't know if we touched on it, but there's been certainly in the last week or so a lot more sort of speed gathering in terms of Lukaku coming back to Chelsea. New manager's going to be there. He's hitting a bit of form with Inter Milan. Some people on Twitter, I know Twitter's not the best place, but some people open to it, discussing the possibility. Where do you sit with it, mate? Because obviously, the problem we've got with Lukaku is it's a depreciating asset. We paid a lot of money for him. He's still got 3 years left on his contract, 300 odd K. it's going to be hard to get rid of him, if we're being honest. I don't know if Inter are playing games by saying, that they're not going to take him back next season or whatever. In any world for you, is there a space for Romelu Lukaku in Pochettino's Chelsea squad next season?
Only if Pochettino wants it and Lukaku's willing to apologise to the fans, then maybe there is. Because if Poch wants to make it work, then we have to give the manager what he wants. If he doesn't want it, though, find another club for him, get rid. Like, the only way I could see him back at Chelsea is with the manager's say-so. And he'd have to push for himself because every Chelsea fan is basically done with Lukaku. Most of them, at least. So it would be a big turnaround from him. But I wouldn't say it's 100% not going to happen. I could see a little chance that he returns. Only because I don't think Inter Milan will take him back. It's worth there's too much wages on there. I don't think any other club takes him on those wages, so that's our problem that we have to try and solve.
Yeah, I look at it and I think like we've got a massive problem. We don't score any goals. Whatever people think about Lukaku, he does score goals wherever he's been. Obviously, Chelsea being an exception, but he's not the only one. But he does score. He's got a proven goal-scoring record. He solves potentially a massive issue that we've got in the squad. Now, I'm not saying that like, we should definitely be jumping at the chance to bring him back. The number one thing, regardless of whether Pochettino wants it, is does Lukaku actually want to succeed at Chelsea himself? If he doesn't, forget it. Get rid of him, release him, terminate the contract. Whatever you've got to do, just get rid. But I do think like if he wants it, then I am open to it because I think this time round with a different manager, with different players around him, maybe a system that's going to be more geared to getting the best out of him. I think there's a better chance for it to succeed than with what it was under Tuchel, with the likes of Mudryk around him, Enzo like kind of more in that Fabregas sort of role, hopefully with a 6 sign to be able to push further forward and influence things at the top end of the pitch. I think there's a lot, it could be set up a lot better to get more out of him, but ultimately, he's got to want to make a success of it. Otherwise, it's just a complete no-starter. But
exactly.
But ultimately, people don't like Lukaku, Chelsea fans not happy with the way he's acted. If he came back and he started scoring goals, people soon forget about that. The easiest way to get the fans off your back is just to start banging the ball in the back.
They probably wouldn't even listen to the apology. They just say, whatever, just go score some goals.
Well, this is it. That's it. Do your talking on the pitch. But let's wait and see what happens. I do think that he will. I think he'll play some part in pre-season. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him in pre-season. Be interesting to see how he gets.
Yeah, definitely.
How he gets welcomed back into the squad. But it's an interesting dynamic and it's an interesting conversation because the striker market is pretty dry, if we're being real. You're looking at Osimhen and Tony as kind of like Osimhen, the standout striker on the market. Tony is another good choice. But in terms of you're shopping at top level strikers, there's not actually that many. So maybe we'd be better off reintegrating Lukaku if he wants it and spending our money elsewhere on a goalkeeper, a 6, and whatever else we're looking to do. Maybe that could be a better use of funds.
Poch would have to get him fit though.
Mate, one thing Poch does is gets teams fit. Like that, when he was at Southampton, he took over. They were bottom of the league for distance covered. They went straight to the top. Same with Spurs. So Lampard saying these players are unfit. These guys have got a shot for pre-season because Poch is going to have them. That's one of
the few things I agree with Lampard. 30 minutes
have running
since February.
Mate, we've got nothing left after 30 minutes. We're cooked. We're finished. So like these guys think they're going to have a nice time in the States on pre-season. They're fucked. They're going to have to put some serious effort in. And like
running and more running. And you know what? You all deserve it.
Mate, so true, so true. Moving ahead to the game then again, mate. Emirates. Mixed records, to be honest there. We've had some good results there. On the Lampard, we won with Jorginho and Tammy getting the goals. We got hammered there a couple seasons back on Boxing Day. We haven't got the best record. Obviously, Arsenal could do a double over us if they win. How do you see this game going? Kind of a familiar pattern to what we've seen for most Chelsea games. Half decent start, concede a goal, and then we got nothing.
That times 6 or 7. This is going to be a very long afternoon for us. Well, evening. Arsenal have to win to go back to top spot, even though they won't be there for too long. They've got to pull back up the goal difference. I think there's like a 14-goal swing. So expect us to get battered relentlessly.
Mate, do you
It's
think
going
we've
to be
got
a long night, and we've been overdue a battering. So,
mate, as I was going to say, like all the
here it
games we've
comes.
lost, we actually haven't been hammered in any of them. So, like, I
It's
think
been
that's
hella
probably
1-0s, 2-0s.
yeah,
I don't even
mate.
think when was the last time we even conceded 3 in a game?
I don't know.
I don't remember either.
I'm not sure if we have. I don't know if we have. Oh, mate, I don't think we've let in more than 3. Well, obviously, we got hammered 4-0 in the FA Cup by City, but I don't think in the league have we even let in more than 3 goals in a game.
Other than the Brighton away game.
Oh, the Brighton away, yeah.
But
I think
that
that's the
was in
most.
October.
Yeah.
That's the
So,
last time I remember us shipping 3 goals
mate,
in the league.
like the only thing missing to top off the shit show season is an absolute hammering, like a 4 or 5-0.
That is coming. We've got to play 3 of the top 4 away.
Yeah, we're in trouble. That is coming.
As long as just save it for City away. Save it for City away. That game you can gladly lose. I don't care what the scoreline is.
Mate,
great.
To be fair, the City away that could be rivaling the Sarri 6-0 we had. No joke.
The difference is, I'm here for it.
Yeah,
put 10 past us. I don't give a fuck. We're a 3 point. If it helps you with your goal difference against Arsenal, put 10 past us.
Yeah,
records.
We take it. In terms of lineup, I think we probably know what Lampard's going to do. But mate, what would you like to see? Just go back to a 3-4-3. Get Mudryk playing one side, maybe Sterling the other, Felix or Havertz in the middle. I mean, would you give Aubameyang a start? I mean, Lampard in his press conference saying that he may start Aubameyang because of it being at the Emirates, that might give him a bit of extra motivation. These guys are starting.
He didn't mean Conor Gallagher.
No, mate, I don't know, mate, but. Yeah, would you start Aubameyang at the Emirates?
Yep, because he'd actually be motivated for that one. He'd want to wake up. I remember Troop saying to me in the Arsenal preview in November that if the Arsenal fans booed him, he'd celebrate a goal if he scored. He got in 2 good positions in 15 minutes, and that idiot Havertz just ignored him both times. This time, I think he'll still be switched on. Hopefully somebody finds him now. Maybe an Enzo, maybe a Mudryk, maybe a Felix. But I would like to see Aubameyang start.
What do you think of his?
We need a striker. We've been needing one.
What do you think of his 45 minutes that he got against Brentford? I actually thought, considering he's not played much, I actually thought he looked all right. He looked reasonably sharp, and him and Mudryk made a massive difference. So, despite me saying and us saying that we don't want to see players that are going to play that haven't got a future here and they're out the door. Like Mudryk and Aubameyang, that was a threat, and it worked, and it made us look better. So, for me, there's no reason to not start those 2 again.
Yeah, like Mudryk and Auba came on in the last game. We had a bit of energy. I think with Auba, he still lacks a bit of sharpness. You could tell that with his finishing, but he got into the right positions. He didn't really lose the ball too much, except for the finishing. Yeah, I'd have him start. I'd have Mudryk start. Don't really know who you play on the right, to be honest.
Sterling's been so shit, hasn't he? Madueke came off the bench against Brentford. I mean, is he going to start? It's a difficult one, that, isn't it? Like, there's not really that many choices.
I'm not sure. Yeah, Mudryk, Auba, maybe Felix on the right, maybe Havertz on the right. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, just on Felix, mate, are you surprised that Lampard's dropped him for the last few games? I know, like, he come in and he started reasonably well. He's got obviously quality about him. There's no end product, but that's the Chelsea way with forward players. Are you surprised that he's not played much recently? He's been out the side. He's been on the bench for the last few games. Does that shock you?
Yeah, a bit. I could get because he doesn't really press, but then he's starting Sterling, who don't really press either. Nothing Lampard does make sense to me, but like Felix hasn't really warranted a start either, so it goes both ways.
Yeah, it's been difficult for Felix. I mean, just on him briefly, mate. There was reports saying that likely possibly a second loan move, but again, that would be like paying his 250k wages and a sizable fee. I'm at the point now where I'm actually starting to sway towards maybe we shouldn't be keeping this guy. Maybe we need to be looking at spending our money more wisely and in the areas that need the money spending on. Like, I mean, Felix should only be signed once we've addressed everything that needs addressing. I just think with what we've seen from him, I don't even know if a second loan makes sense.
I think the second loan move makes sense for everyone because Atletico don't really want him back either. I think he's needed time to adapt to the Premier League, but when you're on a 6-month loan fee, it's like you gotta do what you gotta show your quality now. You don't really have a lot of time to develop to adapt. I think another loan move gets us to experiment with him for another year and figure out where we want to be. It kind of helps him as well. Helps him like adapt or whatever. And it means we don't have to put any money on the table immediately. And Atletico don't take a player whose stock's probably crashed as well. Because he's left. Chelsea have got worse. Even though I think he's been one of our better attackers. Atletico's got better without him. So it kind of suits all parties for him to just go on loan for another year. And I think that would be a good move for us.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, I think people forget. I mean, I know I've just said that I probably wouldn't keep him, but I think people forget as well that he's been here for what, 3-4 months, plunged, like just dropped straight into an absolute fucking mess, and you're expecting like instant success from him. I think it's a bit unrealistic. Yes, whilst it's a lot of money, and yes, we need to address other areas. I suppose keeping him for another season on loan wouldn't be the end of the world, but it's not a priority signing, if that makes sense. Like, we've got to get a goalkeeper, a defensive midfield player, and a forward. Then we can entertain looking at having Felix for a second season. How do you see that? How do you see us dealing with Arsenal then? The likes of Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli, Jesus. Yeah, we're going to deal with them?
No, we're going to get dealt with.
Mate, are we going to see Aspilicueta at right wing back again? Get dealt with? Mate, Saka and Martinelli versus Dave.
We're going to see that as well. I can't be bothered. I'm only going because I'm taking one of my close mates from secondary school. It'll be a good night. That's it. Other than that, I would have fucked this game off so fast.
Mate, 2023 Aspilicueta playing right wing back still for Chelsea.
Kill me. Respect Aston all that, but kill me, please. I can't be bothered for it.
Mate, it's going to be that as well.
It's going to be dead. It's going to be fucking dead, bro.
Mate, when it gets to 7 o'clock...
Let's hope we only lose by 1 or 2 again.
Mate, if it gets to 7 o'clock and that team sheet drops, mate, and we see one attacker, Gallagher and Kante.
Gallagher, Ziyech. Yeah. I will jump in the train tracks.
Mate, mate, we know it's gonna happen. We at least we know what's coming, but it still don't make it any better. Mate, score prediction then. What we thinking?
3-0 Arsenal.
Yeah, to be fair, mate, I predicted us to lose 2-0 to Brentford last time. That was right. But I can't see us scoring. I really can't see us getting any goals. Scored 1 goal last month, and that was a massive deflection. The only way the ball's ever going to go in the net. Yeah, mate, I think we'll lose 2-0 again. I think, we'll probably be 1 down inside the first 10 minutes. Arsenal not won a game for 4 now. They'll be desperate to try and get themselves back on track. Yeah, it's going to be a long night for us, mate. We're probably going to be sitting there. I imagine Chelsea gets battered everywhere they go, chance like we got from Brentford. And it's going to be shit for us, but they will be there. And miracles happen. Maybe we can score a goal. Maybe we hit 40 points. Fuck, maybe we even win a game of football. Who knows? But seems like a good place to round this one out, guys. Make sure you smash a like on the video, subscribe to Chelsea Fan TV if you haven't done so already, and leave your thoughts in the comments below on this episode. And we'll catch you guys again in another episode soon.